Okay, welcome to CAD&GIS training. This is our first class with Sketchup. Okay, so as you can see, I have on my desktop here, I have three different Sketchup icon. We are going to make use of this very one, that is Sketchup. All right. So no matter the version of Sketchup you are using, it always comes with layout, Sketchup itself, and a style builder. All right. So the one we are going to use for our modeling is Sketchup. So I'll double click on it. All right, and then we'll wait for it to load. All right. So see, it has loaded now. Depending on the kind of system you are using, all right, it will determine the speed. So now we have different templates here. We have the inches, we have the millimeter, meter, inches, centimeter, and meter. All right. So now what it means is that we have a simple inches, we have the architectural millimeter, and then we have a simple meters, architectural inches, architectural centimeter, and architectural meter. So we are going to make use of architectural millimeter. All right, because we are going to normally architectural modeling is always in millimeter in terms of the measurement, but let's assume you are modeling things that has to do with engineering, like maybe modeling pipe, modeling any other thing. All right, depend on the measurement that you use for your drawing will determine the one that you are going to choose here. So you can decide to select architectural meter, all right, instead of millimeter. Okay, any of these, but for this very video we are going to make use of architectural millimeter. All right, so I will double click on that particular template for it to open. All right, so wait for it to load. All right, so you can see this is a fresh Sketchup. All right, actually install is fresh so that we can actually explain everything how it's supposed to be when you install a new Sketchup. All right, so now this is a new Sketchup. All right, so it automatically comes with these tools that you are seeing here, but this is not all the tools that you need for your work. All right, and one good thing about Sketchup is the fact that you can actually add plugin based on the work you are doing. Let's assume you are doing something related to architecture, you add plugin that relates to your architectural models. If you are doing something related to piping, maybe piping, engineering models, and the rest of them, you can actually add plugins that has to do with that. All right. So, but for this, let's actually on or bring in the normal Sketchup tools that we need first. All right. So, for example, now if I go to view, all right, I have toolbar here. Under my view, I have toolbar. Then these are different tools here. We have advanced camera, classify, constructions, and editing, dynamic component, and the rest of them. Now this one that is stick here is the one that is already shown here, get started. All right, that is the one that is already shown here. So I can on the large tool. So you see, bring out more tool. Then I'll on another one called standard. That the standard will show us the undo and redo functions and the save and the rest. All right, so it's very important because in Sketchup, undo and redo is very important, because Sketchup is not something that if you made a mistake and then start deleting. All right, if you start deleting, it will just scatter your model. So the easiest way is to undo the mistake that you do and then you continue. All right, just take note of that. It's very important. All right, so I'll go down and then I'll click on view as well. View is also important because this is what is going to show us the view, maybe from ISO to top view to front view, elevation view, and all that. So you need it for your model. So I'll just shift it up like this so that it will just maintain two lane as well. All right, so I'll continue. Which other tools do we need? For now, I think you can just make use of this. We have tools like location, warehouses, and the rest of them. But let's just start with this. All right, as we continue, we can on more tools based on what we want to do. Okay, so after adding the tools that you need, I can just close here. Okay, so I'm going to explain the interface of SketchUp. All right, just a general interface. So this is the title bar. All right, these are the menu bar. All right, now from this side we have the select buttons where you can select and deselect. All right, this is erase. Okay, where you can delete something. For example, this person that is standing here, if you want to erase her, I'll just click erase and then I'll remove her. Alright, so I'll undo so that she'll come back. Alright, okay, now this is a pencil where you can draw your line. Now before I continue with that explanation, let me explain this color of line that is showing here, because it's actually very important. What it means is that why this human being is standing here is because the software wants to show you the orientation, the present orientation you are, the view that you are now, right? So it's telling you that, okay, this person is standing vertically, right? So anytime that you are drawing a line, for example, if you are using AutoCAD now, if you want to draw a perfect straight line, you need to on your auto mode, right? Okay, now, but for this, if you want to draw a perfect straight line vertically, the color of your line must be blue. Alright, and then you want to draw a straight horizontal line, the color of your line must be red. And then if you are drawing a line that is inclined, alright, then it has to be green. Alright, so with that orientation, you can be able to know that whatever you are doing is straight. Okay, that is the essence of this color. Alright, so I can be able to remove. That is why in every software, in every SketchUp software, no matter the version you are using, it has a human being standing to show you the orientation or the present view. Alright, so that is that. So I'll go to the now. So we have different view here, so I can remove this human using the erase that I've just shown you now. Alright, so I'll click on our view tool here. I can click on the top. I'll click on the top so that we have the orientation, because we have to be working within this top view, because definitely if you are going to model a building, you have to actually bring out the shape of the floor plan, right? So if you are bringing out the shape of the floor plan, it has to be from the top. Alright, so I'll zoom this now. Another point is that you have to work within this environment here. You know, we have this green line and then this red line. At the back of it is a dotted line, and then another one here, another one here. You can't walk here. Alright, across this green line you can't walk at this side, and across this red line here you can't walk here, because if you walk beneath this line, that is to say your building that you are modeling or the object that you are modeling is below the ground level. Alright, but if you are doing within this area, then you are walking above the ground level. Alright, so I will zoom, alright, so that I can have enough space for area where I'm supposed to walk. Alright, so I'll continue explaining the tools now. So this is, as I rightly say, this is this is our line. We have different type of line. Normal line like this, where I can click and move the direction. Alright, from down here you can see the side, the length of the line. You can specify the length of the line, alright, by just typing. Let's say I want a line of 1000, alright, which is 1 meter, right? So let me type 1000. I'll press enter. Alright, so this is a line of a length of 1000. Alright, so I can specify the next one. Let's say I want 500. That is 0.5 meter. Alright, and then I'll come here, and then I can specify also, or I can track it. Alright, you can track it so that it will give you by putting it here. So if you are using SketchUp, if you use AutoCAD before, you can be able to know this actually. But even if you don't use AutoCAD, just for you to put it up here and track it. Alright, but even if you don't want to track it, you can still put the same measurement here by putting your 1000 here, and then I can take it up here and close it. Alright, so one thing about SketchUp is the fact that SketchUp work with an object. Alright, so before you can do anything with SketchUp, your line or your rectangle or whatever object that you are using must be enclosed. Alright, so you discover that as I draw this line like this just now, alright, immediately as I close it, alright, it become an object, it become a polygon. Alright, so I can be able to work with it. So if you see now, the software can be able to recognize it as a surface. Alright, so that is then the freehand. The freehand is based on as I rightly say, SketchUp is used for different purposes, not only for building model. So I can actually draw any shape that I want. Let's assume you are into artistic drawing, alright, and then you want to come up with a shape like this. So if I close it like this now, alright, it will become an object, alright, and then I can be able to do whatever I want to do with it. So it's not only technical, right? When we talk about technical now, it has to do with, okay, you are drawing a straight perfect line all the time, or the line that has to do with measurement, right, regularly. But this one, we can still do your artistic work with it, alright. So you can draw any shape and then you can close it, alright. Okay, so the next one is arc, alright. So we have our arc, okay, where you can draw your shape. Okay, so you can draw your arc. For example, if I click on arc, this very arc now, or 2-point arc, if I click on 2-point arc now, I can click here and then I click here and then I move it. Alright, so I'll draw the shape of the arc to any level I want to draw, or any direction I want to draw it. Alright, so that is about drawing your arc. Alright, so we have different arc, different ways of you drawing your arc. So if I use this one, if I go like this, it will move arc in one direction. Alright, so but advisably for your model, you use your 2-point arc. Alright, if you can also use the 3-point. The 3-point is that you specify it and then you specify where you want the arc to curve, and then you now curve it. Alright, this is 3-point arc. 2-point is that you click here and then you click here and then you drag it up to where you want it to curve. While the 3 points, you click here and then click on where you want it to curve and then curve down like AutoCAD. Alright, so that is that. Then the next one is rectangle. So I'll click and then I'll draw my rectangle. Alright, so we have a rectangle, cycle, and then polygon. Alright, so I can click on cycle and then I'll draw. The good thing is I can actually specify the size of your radius for the cycle. Okay, you can specify the size of your radius. Okay, and also even your rectangle, you can also specify the side by separating it with comma. Alright, so if it is you want to draw a rectangle of 1000 by 500. Alright, so I'll press comma 1000 comma 500. Okay, so I'll press enter, so it gives us that particular size. Okay, so the same thing, you can specify the radius of your cycle, and also you can draw your polygon, and you can also specify the radius of the polygon. Okay, so I think that is that about this. Then the next one, which is one of the major things in SketchUp, is push and pull. It's the best skills that you can use in SketchUp, which is the main thing about SketchUp, push and pull. Alright, push and pull faces, entities to a script 3D model. So now before I push any of the before I start drawing these shapes, I click on the top view, right? So I'll go to ISO now so that we can look at what we draw in isometric views. Alright, so now any of these objects that I draw here, now I can be able to pull them. Alright, I can be able to pull them. So if I put my pointer here, let's say the tools here, you see that he identified the surface, right? So I'll click my mouse and then I'll hold it down and then I'll drag it. Okay, so you see, you can pull it up to any height you want to pull. Alright, so this is pull. Alright, and then you can push it down. So that's why they call it pull and push, or push and pull. Alright, so I can pull it and I can push it. So I can push it like this and I can still pull it like this. Okay, so the same thing, even this object that is irregular shape, I can be able to pull it. that's the interesting thing about it. You can actually sketch, maybe those that are doing what I call it, if you are doing something related to tailoring or furniture stuff and stuff like that, and then you want to draw some models, things like that, so you can actually use your freehand and sketch whatever you do, and then you turn it to a model, right? And then after that you can do a lot of things, maybe render it, make it look like make it look real. All right, so you see, I can pull it, I can push, I can push, I can push, you understand? So you see a lot of things that you can do here. Also, you see the object, I turn it to anywhere by using the principle of push and pull. Okay, so that is the meaning or the reason for the tools push and pull. So like this shape, now I can pull it. All right, I can actually decide to draw a cycle on top of this very place like this, and then I'll push it inside. So you see, so it's actually interesting. It's actually interesting, right? So I'll continue. So the next tools here is offsetting. All right, so now, for example, just now I wanted to create a shape here, like another shape, so that I can be able to push it in, right? And then I pick another cycle to draw, right? Like I can use an offset like the word offset in AutoCAD or any other software that you're using. They are offsetting an object parallel, okay, at a specific distance, right? So I'll click on offset, and then I'll click and drag, right? So I can specify my offset distance. So let's say I want it to be at the distance of 200. All right, so let's assume you are modeling maybe one kind of bolt and nut and stuff like that, and then you have the radius of the thickness of that iron, all right, or the thickness of the wood or a particular object I want to model, right? So I can now push it, all right, to any level I want to pick. Now if I push it like this, you see that I go across like this. So as it's going across, if I target the edge of this very place, if I target the edge like this, if I leave it, then it will now create a hole. All right, so you see, this is a hole, right? So it can become a boat for you. All right, so that is about offsetting. All right, the next one is move. So I'll highlight the object I want to move, like in any other software you're using. I'll click on it and then I'll move it. All right, so now if I want to move it horizontally straight, then the line has to be red, as I rightly said. If I want to move it horizontally, vertically straight, then the line as I'm moving it has to be blue. All right, so this is how you move your stuff straight. Then another thing is that if you want to copy, let's say I move it to this place now, right? But it happens that you're supposed to copy it, not move, like you want this very shape somewhere, right? So you use the same move icon, right? But what you need only is to press, if I move it like this and then I press my control, all right, if I press control, it automatically duplicates it, that is, it will become a copy. So if I'm moving it and then so let's assume I paste this one now, and then I continue moving it again, and then I press control, it creates a copy of it at the position where you move it from. So if you want to copy objects, you highlight the object, use the same move tools, but you have to press your control so that it becomes a copy. All right, the next one is rotate. So I'll click on the rotate. Now you see that it has a compass that is displaying for us. So it depends on how you want to move or you want to rotate your object. Let's assume I want to rotate it horizontally. I'll make sure that your compass is flat like this. All right, and then I'll click to the direction, and then I'll target any of the compass, then I'll turn it like this. Okay, so you see, I'll turn it. See that it's turning. All right, so you can turn it to any direction. All right, so the compass will make sure that the thing is straight. So I'll click and it will be straight. All right, so that is how you you rotate. So if I want to rotate it at this direction like this, like the way the compass is, then I'll make it like that, and then I'll target the compass like this, and then I move it like this. Alright, so I can rotate it like this. Alright, so depend on how you want to turn the compass. So you see it. Alright. Okay, so okay, so that is about rotating. Alright, then the next one is scale. Alright, scale is like you want to increase or reduce the object. Alright, so let's assume we have this object is supposed to be bigger than this. Alright, so I'll just click on it and then click on scale, and then I can increase it. Alright, if you want to increase it vertically, you just put only this one. If you want to reduce it vertically, you reduce it like this. But if you want to increase it generally, you increase it. So it's increasing both vertical and horizontal at the same time. Alright, so depend on what you. So if you are using this center one, that's to say you are reducing it, like you are shrinking it. Alright, so you can do it and then reduce. You can use this to increase it. You understand? So those nodes that you are seeing here, all of them play different role in terms of the different ways that you can be able to rotate it. Okay, so the next one is measuring tools, right? So I'll deselect this. Now measuring tools is what you use to measure an object for it to guide you. For example, now let's assume I have this box. Let's say let me use this box. Now if I click here, if I use my measuring tools and then I click here, from here to here, it automatically tell me that this is one. If you look at it here, from here you see it, this is 1569 millimeter. That's 1659 millimeter, right? So let's assume I want to measure maybe like 500 millimeter from this very place. So I'll just use my measuring tools and then I'll try and then I'll type 500, right? And then I'll press enter. So you see it put a point for us, so I can use my line now. Alright, I can use my line to actually draw that. So let's assume you wanted to do something, and then I can draw that and then can be able to push that side out. Alright, so depend on the shape they are drawing or whatever. So this is actually a measuring tape, like to guide you for your measurement. So I can be able to specify it. Let's say maybe I want to target the middle of this place. I'll pick a point and then I can use my line to actually draw whatever I want to draw. Okay, so we are going to demonstrate that when we start modeling a particular object. Alright, so I will continue. The next one is for you to add text. So I can click and then possibly click here and drag whatever, and then I can add my text. I can add anything if it is based on measurements or based on informations, like okay, I can say face or surface or whatever that you want to write. So you can actually type anything that you want to type. Okay, and it will be there. Okay, so the next one is paint bucket. That has to do with coloring. So I'll click and then it will display this color materials here. Alright, so you see this, if you immediately select, you show this material. Then I'll click here, you see there are different color and different patterns. So let's say if it is color that you want to, just click on color and then you can see different color. Alright, so I can select any color that I want to use. Alright, and then I'll use it. Alright, so depend on whatever you are doing. But let's assume if it is not color, let's assume it's a pattern you want. Maybe you are doing maybe a wood or something. Let's say I want a wood. I'll click on wood. So you have different wood styles. So let's say you are modeling something like furniture and you want to make use of wood, you can actually apply it. Alright, these are different wood. If you are doing something related to stone, alright, I think we have stone here. I can apply stones. Right, if it is roof, let's assume it is your model and then you want to put your roofing sheet. you can select any of the roofing sheet pattern and then you apply it. Alright, so these are different ways on which you can apply any kind of materials that you want to add to your model. Alright, so having said that, the next one is orbit. Orbit is what we use to rotate our objects. So let's assume you do your models and then you want to rotate it to see maybe the back, the front. Let's say it's an estate to build and they want to rotate, or you want to show your client everything about it. You can turn whatever you want to do. So that is the orbit. Alright, so this is palming. Alright, this is zoom. But as far as you are using your external mouse, I don't think you need this zoom. This is zoom extend. Let's assume you zoom your work. Let's assume you are zooming and then you mistakenly zoom the work and they are trying to zoom it back and it's not coming. You can click zoom extend. So I'll click. So now that is all about the tools. So if you see, most of the tools here is what is here as well. Alright, but for this we are going to stop here, and then in the next class I'm going to explain every other things that have to be on that particular video. So the other thing I show you is, okay, this is the ISO where we are now. This is the top, this is the front, this is the right, this is the back, and then this is the left. Okay, so in our next video we are going to look at the other aspect of the tools. Thank you.